Eamon Khan here for Seconds Out, joined by Matchroom Boxing CEO Frank Smith by the power of the internet via Zoom over in Oaxaca. I hope I'm saying that right, Frank. How's things?
Yeah, well, good. You got it right, Oaxaca. I had to do a bit of learning to make sure I didn't offend anyone. But Oaxaca is actually quite an amazing place. There's some amazing. I love food, like as you can probably tell from my weight issues, back up and down yo-yoing. I love food, but it's a great place for food and beautiful place. There's a lot of huge tourism here, so it's good to be working here and doing events, and hopefully the first of many.
Moving forward to the big announcement that was released today, that being that Taylor versus Catterall 2 is signed and sealed, waiting for that delivery in April. Spoke to Sam Jones earlier. He said that the negotiations were quite difficult. Can you let us in on what they were getting it over the line, Frank?
No, look, I think it was a process. We were very open about it around the fight itself, and it has to make sense. It has to stack up. And there was a view from other broadcasters, from Boxer and Sky to do it on pay-per-view. They wanted to do the fight. They were desperate to do the fight. I'm glad, but look, I'm honestly glad we made it work. I wanted to do the fight, but it has to make sense for everyone involved. And we worked really hard, and fair play to DAZN as well, because they're pumped up to get this fight on. It's a massive fight. It's going to be huge, especially the build up to this fight. We all know what happened the first time round. I don't have to go over it, but it's going to be a massive fight, and I'm glad we got there. And yeah, look, it did take a period of time, but we got there, and that's boxing. If everything was easy, everyone would be a boxing promoter. And look, respect to Sam Jones as well, because he wanted to deliver this fight for Jack Catterall, and he did everything to do that. But I'm glad we got it up on there, and I'm glad we got it as a subscription fight. And like I say, you have to say fair play to DAZN on making it happen. It's the kind of fight we need to deliver.
Was it ever discussed that the fight might land on DAZN pay-per-view? Because I feel like if it did land on Sky Sports, it might have been a Sky Sports pay-per-view.
Yeah, it was only happening on Sky Sports if it was pay-per-view. And we were, like I said in our interviews before when we were discussing it, we were quite open of it wasn't a pay-per-view fight for us or for DAZN. Look, at the end of the day, it's DAZN as well. It wasn't a pay-per-view fight for us. It would have been pay-per-view if it landed on Sky. That was the proposal that was out there, etc. So, I'm glad we can deliver it for the subscribers, but we never wanted to do it as a pay-per-view fight. It's a massive fight, but with everything going on at the minute, there's so much competition for pay-per-views right now as well. You've got the heavyweight fights coming out of Saudi, back to back. Obviously, March 8th, Joshua Ngannou, May 17th, is it? Or May 18th, sorry, is the undisputed Fury Usyk. June 1st, I'm not sure what the plans are on broadcast yet there, but there's so many big shows right now, so much competition. And pay-per-view is, look, you have to balance it out, and you can't have a pay-per-view every 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So, for us, it was important to deliver this kind of fight non pay-per-view. And again, a big thank you to DAZN for making it happen.
I'm not here to kind of stir the pot between you and Boxer. I know that obviously that has riled up beforehand, but it does feel like here that Boxer's loss in not landing and Sky Sports loss in landing this fight is Matchroom's gain.
Yeah, I mean, look, like I say, we always wanted to do the fight, but we wanted it had to make sense for us. And they were desperate to do the fight. Desperate, pushing every single day. So yeah, I'm delighted we could get the fight over the line, because it's a big fight for the schedule. And when you look at now our schedule, you got March 23 is a brilliant fight, Dalton Smith in a real step up fight there against Cepeda. With Terry Harper, Sandy Ryan on that undercard as well, a whole host of other title fights on there as well. April 13th, Zelfa Barrett against Jordan Gill's a brilliant domestic clash. On that night, Ellie Scott needs unification that night as well. Rhiannon Dixon fights for a first world title. Vuong against Jordan Flynn's a brilliant fight. Kane Baker against Gomez, a great card there. And then to add this as well to the schedule, all on as part of your subscription, April 27th, Taylor Catterall. It's a fight that people have been calling for a long time. So I think we're in a great place. And look, it was the kind of fight we needed to deliver to, as part of this schedule.
Quinn McGrail features on, or 2 features on the undercard. What else is slated for that? And does that mean that the next gen show in Liverpool is now not on?
Yeah, correct. So we obviously had the April 27th Liverpool show. in place, which was, as you say, Quinn and O'Quinn and McGrail's rematch. But when this opportunity came up, it made sense to move that across. We're working through the undercards now because there were certain fights as well that were relevant for Liverpool that maybe aren't so relevant for Leeds. The venue obviously was a big sticking point in the discussion. Both parties, but the parties wanted a neutral venue. Leeds is a great venue for boxing. We've had some great nights there with Josh Warrington. It's obviously got a brilliant fan base for boxing, and quite central as well. So for us, it was a venue that made sense. We like working there. We believe it will do very well wherever this fight lands. But yeah, we're just working through the fights that are going to go on there onto that card right now. With the main focus was to get the main event done and obviously then move the main event to the next gen. And I think over the next week, 10 days, probably even at the press conferences early next week, we should have some news on undercard.
Haney Garcia as well over the line too.
Yeah, massive fight. That was something that Bill Haney, on behalf of obviously Devin Haney Promotions, worked very hard on with Golden Boy. Obviously, we're a part of it. We've worked with Devin for a long time, had a great relationship with him, and it's great to be involved in such a huge event. It's a massive event. Ryan Garcia is obviously a huge star as well, and I think these are the kind of fights we need to see. And again, another huge night in the DAZN schedule. When you look at what they've got week in, week out, I think it's honestly unrivaled on a global scale. So massive fight, and lots more to look forward to as well. We're working hard on May and June now as well.
So last time we spoke in person, Frank, I saw you in Vegas and I asked you if there were any signings close, and you were naturally coy, as sometimes you are on that. I said if it was days or weeks, and again, a little bit coy on that too. But the announcement has come out now that Sabril Matias has signed to Matchroom Boxing. That appears to be, on the surface, very good signing with high potential for big fights.
100%. In a 140 division, he is a force to be reckoned with, and no one really wants to fight him as well. He's a brilliant fighter, and I think we need to do a job building his profile as well, because he probably doesn't have the profile he deserves alongside what he's done, his skill set. So yeah, great to have him on board. Great to get that over the line. We're always looking to add brilliant fighters to the stable, and he is a special fighter. The aim for us will be a homecoming in Puerto Rico for him, and I think that will be a huge night. So we're just working through the details now of date for that and opponent with DAZN. Probably announce that in the next couple of weeks.
Liam Parrow first up with a goal to beat Teofimo Lopez in the future.
I don't think it will be Liam Parrow. I know there's a lot online about it being Liam Parrow, but I don't believe it will be Liam Parrow. We're working through the list of opponents now, and hopefully some news soon. But I'm not. Yeah, it won't be him.
Continuing to widen the scope, I just want your thoughts on this WBC looking to implement some form of VAR in fights potentially for AJ versus Ngannou. Is that something that you welcome? I know that the WBA tried it with Franco Maloney. It didn't quite work out to full effect, but what do you feel if this was implemented? Do you feel it was for the good of the sport?
Yeah, I think anything that can improve the sport moving forward is good. I think, we have to be mindful of, I think that with things like that, you definitely need some testing before it's actually utilised officially in events, and people understanding what the use of it is, and how decisions are made. I think in Las Vegas, I believe they use instant replays, maybe, or it might be another state they've used it before. I may have got that wrong, but I do think it's Las Vegas. But I definitely think anything that can advance the sport and make decisions clearer is good. It's just a balance between, we're in a sport where time is of the essence. It's not like football. You can take a couple of minutes to see what VAR decides. Decisions have to be made very quickly, I think, in boxing. But I think, anything, like I say again, anything that can advance the sport is great. I think it needs some testing before it's used officially in the sport, and people to understand how it can be used.
I was listening to TalkSport the other day, and I'd heard Eddie Hearn was on TalkSport, and one of the things he mentioned was that the Benn appeal has been dealt with and the appeal decision was pending. Can you confirm that to be the case, Frank? Have you had the appeal now, or has the team had the appeal now?
Yeah, Conor Benn's team have been through that process now, so hopefully very soon everything will be cleared up. And it's been a long journey, but hopefully we're where we need to be. But a few weeks, I'm sure, to go, and news soon.
You able to say anything about the process of the appeal?
No, not really. Again, it's not something we're directly involved in. He has his own independent legal team who have dealt with this throughout the whole process. You know, we're not in the appeal. We're not in those discussions. But you know, it's something that they've dealt with, and you know, they're specialists within that field, and you know that they've worked very hard in the background. So hopefully, news soon, as I say.
Do you know of the timeline of the decision at all?
I hope it will be in the next few weeks. But I think look, it's been a long process. There's been a lot of delays in this process. So hopefully there's no further delays. But we feel very confident, and as we have done for a long time, Conor Benn has been free to fight, should be free to fight, and hopefully we can keep moving on with his career very soon.
Moving on to me listening to TalkSport, I also heard Carl Froch on there, considering Anthony Joshua's future. Fury stated that he wanted to fight Anthony Joshua twice. Froch, although worried, and says he doesn't think that we'll ever even get one fight with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. Do you share the same worry at all?
No, not at all. I think it's too big. I think it's too big of a fight. I think we'll see it. I don't share the same concern. And look, I think a lot of people. Tyson Fury's got a very tough fight coming up against Alexander Usyk. A real tough fight. But I do believe that fight of Joshua against Fury is big, win, lose, draw. It's a massive fight. It's a fight people will always want to see. And I think I'm very confident we'll see that.
Just speaking to some of the people in the industry regarding the jeopardy that Ngannou poses to Joshua, how do you compare it to some of AJ's other opponents?
Look, he's obviously shown when he fought Tyson Fury, he can whack. And that is what we love about heavyweight boxing, that anything can happen at any point of a fight. I think Anthony Joshua is a tremendous athlete. I think he's on a great run of form. And I think, he's probably in the best place he's been in a long time. And, we've seen it. I think activity has been key for that. I think Francis Ngannou, like I say, he poses a threat of being a huge puncher. My honest opinion in the Tyson Fury fight was it was very close, but people were so shocked that Francis Ngannou was even in the fight that they maybe subconsciously scored it as if it was a wide decision to Francis Ngannou. But to get in the ring and do that against, who many perceive to be the number one heavyweight in the world in boxing in your first boxing fight, I mean, impressive. So look, he definitely poses a threat, but I think Anthony Joshua is in the best stage of his career and got so much more to deliver. And I think we're going to see a big performance on March 8th.
Lastly, I just want to ask you, Canelo is ramping up to give a formal announcement as to his next opponent's believed to be Jamal Charlo, but there's some underwhelmed as to if that is the case. And he's since ruled out a fight with Terence Crawford. Now, I completely understand some of his reasons as to why, saying he won't get the credit if he was to fight Crawford, but there are a lot of people that want to see that pound for pound showdown between the two. Do you think we'll ever get it? And what do you think to the potential of a Jamal Charlo fight being underwhelming as some people do feel it is?
I think maybe people think that because of the performance of Jamal Charlo in the previous fight. I think, look, Canelo doesn't really have to answer to anyone in terms of people saying disappointed about it. He's fought everybody there is to fight. He's never shied away from a challenge, and that's not in his makeup. He fought Dimitri Bivol at 175 pounds. He's done so much in the sport, so much more than 99.9% of people in the sport. So, it's not an endless pool of fighters out there for him to fight as well. He's been through in the last 10 years, when you look at the names he's been through in that period. So I think every Canelo fight draws huge interest. I think the Charlo fight would draw a huge interest. I definitely think there's other fights out there he'd be interested in as well. But I can understand his position on Terence Crawford as well. He's not going to get the credit, like you say, of a guy coming up from 147 to 168. Everyone will go, oh, he's too big for him anyway. So don't get me wrong. I think it could be a massive fight, but I understand that position.
Frank, pleasure's all mine. Appreciate you. I'll leave you to the rest of the Oaxaca sun. Again, making sure I'm getting that right and looking forward to the fights this weekend. Much appreciated.